Hi, this is Nick Freitas, and welcome back to Making the Argument. We have a special episode for you today. I have my beautiful wife, Tina, with me, and we get a lot of questions, being obviously involved in politics, our time in the military, and so we get a lot of questions on what it's like to be a couple, whether it was in the military or in politics, and then we also get just a lot of questions about who we are, what do we like, funny stories, and so we thought this would be a great time to just kind of introduce ourselves and answer some of those questions that we commonly get. And so the first one we'll start off with is how we met. And here's the first thing you need to know about this is that a lot of times people get this idea that I'm kind of the upfront, blunt, I'll say things that no one else will say. Here's what you need to understand first of that. I'm the nice one. I'm the nice one.
Wait a minute.
No. Anytime you hear me say something like truly controversial, she thinks it was weak. Like I really should have doubled down. So, it's been this way since high school, but we met our freshman year of high school. It was a very, very small school. We had a graduating class
of 27.
27. But I first remembered when I was sitting in the class, I could take you back to the classroom, take you back to the desk, when Tina walked in freshman year, and I remember thinking to myself, well, that's never going to happen.
I don't even remember meeting Nick our freshman year, so.
Isn't that, that's just mean.
That was a joke.
Yeah, but you know what? You married me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. But, so we met in high school, and we didn't date until our senior year.
Well, you say we met in ninth grade, but our very first conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. I don't remember, walking into a class.
We were on, a school trip.
Yeah, we went to the lake.
Yeah.
And we went to this Christian school where, all the girls had to wear T-shirts over their swimsuits, and we were all running around, playing with the football, jumping in the water and everything else. And Nick and I got into some kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. It was pretty intense because we realized that we were both conservatives and, liberty-loving people, but we really needed to hash out which one of us was more conservative than the other, more, liberty-minded than the other. And so that was a heated, no.
Yeah, I did.
I don't think so. So we still haven't quite gotten this one answered, I would say. But that's okay. We got the rest of our lives to figure this out.
Yeah, so we started dating our senior year, and then I went off to basic training. And I remember when I went off to basic training, because I already knew I was hitting way above my weight. And so I just figured I'm going to go off to basic training, and it's going to be like every other girlfriend that everybody, there's songs written about this in the military. When you're running in cadence in the military.
Anybody.
Jody. If you're familiar with the military, you know who Jody is. Jody is that guy that steals your girlfriend when you're in basic training.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed that was going to happen. So I'm trying to play it cool. And as I'm going off.
Do you not know me at all?
Well, I was planning for the worst. So when I went off to basic,
underestimated my feelings for him.
When I went off to basic training, I'm saying, look, I'm going to be in basic training. Clearly, I'm not dating anyone while I'm there. But, if you want to date other people, I get it. And again, I really, really did not want her to date other people. In fact, my best friend was watching out to see if she was dating other people. Oh, yeah, Eric Ewing had my back.
I remember that. Yeah. He showed up one day. Our home was being sold. My parents' home was being sold, and so we moved into this little apartment while the home was being sold.
Yeah.
And Eric saw my truck. I had a little purple truck.
Yeah.
And he saw my truck at this apartment, and he goes and knocks on the door like he caught me or something.
Yeah.
And I answer the door. I think I'm in my jammies or something, and he's like, "Hi, Tina. What are you doing here?" And I'm like, I live here, Eric, with my parents. You remember my parents?
Yeah.
And so he couldn't catch me, so that was good.
Oh, a likely story.
Nothing happened,
No, I know. No, she was great. She was
well,
faithful.
you know what I was doing every single day?
Yeah, you did.
Every single day, I was writing letters to Nick because I was just I was so in love.
Every day, wrote me a letter in basic training.
Yeah.
But again, shout out to my boy Eric.
Okay, but
the best man, godfather to my children.
He went off to, I got to tell this story.
Uh-huh.
You went off to basic training, and he had never told me he loved me yet.
That's true.
And I knew I loved him, but I had this personal rule that I'm not going to say it first because I want to know he really meant it and he's not just trying to respond to me. And so I was waiting, and man, I knew I loved him so early, and I just waited.
What's not to love?
Definitely not that. But I just knew. And it wasn't until he graduated from basic training and I flew out there, and after I had written him, every single day, he finally told me he loved me.
I know, on the banks of the Chattahoochee.
You did. It was really romantic.
Let's hear it for Alan Jackson. Let's hear it for Alan
Well,
Jackson.
his whole family was there, so we had to go take a walk
there.
so that we could be alone.
But and then we ended up getting married. I proposed to you over the phone. Well, actually, I tried to propose.
Yeah, that was really slick.
It was pretty. I'm kind of a romantic. No, it's like I had to go. So I get through basic. I get through airborne school. I get to the 82nd Airborne Division, and I remember I called up both your dads, and
I have two dads,
and both your moms.
Yeah.
So I called them both. I called them all up, asked permission, the whole deal, and then
hold on. I guess I should caveat. I have two dads and two moms.
Yeah.
I come from a family of divorce. I don't just have two dads.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I guess you do have to clarify.
You do have to clarify that.
So I called up, got permission, did the appropriate thing. Young men out there, if you don't believe in asking the father for permission, now again, if the father's just a jerk or whatnot, maybe, but you got to ask the father permission. And as a father of two girls now, I believe this even more. But I asked permission, and then I had told Tina's mom, Joy, and I had told one of her best friends, Angie, that I had set it up to where I was going to propose over the radio, because I was in North Carolina, you were in Chico, California.
Yeah. Now, okay.
And then
proposing over the radio is a little bit,
It's better than just.
Okay, yeah, it is. Your options are extremely limited because he was at the 82nd Airborne and they had block leave twice a year.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's not like he could jump on a plane and come out here. He literally was on DRF statuses rotating through and could not leave because they could be called up. They were a rapid deployment force. Yeah. And so he had to work with what he had, which was some funky radio station. And
so they stayed up all night listening to the radio, and it never came on.
Well, and I had worked all day. I was so tired, and I'm just going to bed.
And then I was supposed to call, and I fell asleep because I had been working all day.
Because I didn't know. I'm like, why did they have the radio out? I had no idea. I'm just like, this is weird
it's
behavior.
Not 1946. Why are we sitting here listening to the radio? But,
yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, I fell asleep, and then I woke up the next morning.
Yeah, he forgot to call and ask me to marry him.
And then I woke up the next morning, and I said, your boyfriend's an idiot. And she was still asleep because we got a time difference between North Carolina and California.
Yeah.
And I said, will you marry me? And she's like, are you serious? I woke her up.
I wouldn't answer. I kept asking if he was serious because it just seemed so out of the blue.
She was trying to find a way out of it. But then it would have been rude to say no at that point. So she just said yes.
No.
She got guilted into it.
I hated being away from you. And so, I'm of the opinion, if you're going to ask somebody to marry you, you better be ready right now. And because don't ask someone to marry you and then be like, oh, but we can't set a date until, whatever. If you want to marry the person, you ask them right now, you mean it right now, and let her set the date. And so anyway, since they had block leave twice a year, we had to decide, do we want to get married this spring, which would be 6 weeks from then?
Yeah.
Or do we want to get married at Christmas?
Yeah. We don't want to get married.
Well, we didn't want to wait that long.
Yeah.
I mean,
not only that, but guys, can I just give you a pro tip here? If you really want to marry the girl, but you don't want to be involved in planning the wedding, you just kind of want to show up, say I do, and then
be in the military.
Yeah, be in the military. Seriously, because I couldn't do anything for the wedding. I literally flew home, and I think 2 days later we had the wedding, or 3 days later we had the wedding.
No, you were home for tying up all the loose ends, the week before, and then we got married and you got on a plane the very next day.
I didn't have to make a single decision on venue, flowers.
Honestly, I don't think the guy should be making those decisions anyway. I would have just screwed it up.
We're so much better at this.
Let the girl do it.
Yeah. No, it was great, but it was a beautiful wedding. She did a great job. Dress looked incredible. We rode an armored car.
We did.
I was in my dress blues. In fact,
and that was a surprise. And now I'll tell you, my initial thought was, wow, this is what we're writing over there. And I knew I needed to be cool about this, but it was really sprung on me. I would have probably liked to know ahead of time, but
It looks so cool.
it was really cool, but I had no idea how I was going to climb in that thing in my dress and like stand out the top. And then, you know, the bottom, my dress is trailing. Well, there's a guy down there driving, and I have no idea what he could see down there because my dress was outside the thing.
It was our good friend Jack Lee. He collected vintage military vehicles, and this happened to be an airborne capable armored car. And so, man, wouldn't that be cool? Because I was in the 82nd Airborne, and I'm wearing my dress blues. And when I went to go get my dress blues, I was an E2. Like, I was a private in the Army. I was making no money. And I go in to buy dress blues. And dress blues, even at this time, this is 1999.
Wow.
No,
wow.
No, I'm talking about when I bought my blues, not when we got married.
Kidding. Okay.
So it was like 1999, and I go in to buy my dress blues, and this gal is at the military clothing and sales, and she's looking at me, she's like, "Sweetheart, you're a private. Why are you buying dress blues?" Right? Because they're like $500. That's like a month's pay.
I like your Southern accent there. That's cute.
That's like a month's pay. And she looks at me, and I said, "Well, ma'am, you know, I'm buying my dress blues because I've always wanted to get married in my dress blues, and so that's why I'm doing it." And she looks at me, and she goes,
he was like $145.
I was 152. Anyway, she looks at me and she goes, "Well, sweetheart, I'm gonna leave plenty of room to let these out as you mature." and she did, like, and I had to wear my dress blues.
I had to break out my sewing machine and let those out as far as they would go.
This like 12 years later. I was going to a daddy-daughter dance. Lily wanted me to wear my dress blues, and Daddy was trying to see if I could squeeze myself into them because I am not a $152 now.
That's okay, honey. We both went
I'm not
that
a $152 now. So, but anyways, that's how we met. That's how we got married. So what's some of the other questions here? Why did we get involved in politics? I mean, my mom Robin was the head of a Republican women's group where I grew up, and she's the one that got me involved because my mom's pretty awesome. Like, she would go to these events in California and whatnot, and she would go on to college universities and she would debate like the college university president, and she could do it in English and Spanish. And so I grew up watching my mom be involved and know why it was important, you know, and single mom. She was a nurse. She was raising me and my brother. I'm actually the oldest of 9 kids because my dad and my stepmom had 7 more kids, so I'm the oldest of 9. But my mom, I watched my mom do it, and she got me involved, and she had me knocking doors and all this other stuff, and so that's what got me involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always interested. I didn't think I was going to run for office because I wanted to be a soldier, so I joined the military.
Although, I mean, didn't you, our senior year of high school, get, you know, most likely to become president of the United States or something?
I got most likely to get a
no. The way they worded it.
Win a Purple Heart. I was like, you don't win a Purple Heart.
Win a Purple Heart.
Yeah. And you know what? 2 combat tours, no Purple Hearts. So they were wrong. The juniors were wrong, but
they were wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm very glad.
Of course, I guess my first foray...
I'm glad they were wrong about me too. We won't share that one.
My first foray into politics, though, was I was the student body president, and my first piece of legislation was because we went to again, it was a good, strict Christian school, but one of the rules is boys could wear jeans, but girls couldn't wear jeans.
We had to go out and try to find like
you couldn't wear blue
colorful pants. They couldn't be blue jeans.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, blue was bad, but all the other colors were fine.
I got that changed. Equality.
So he's been fighting for women's rights for quite some time.
That's right.
And we were all really glad that we could wear blue jeans.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like, note to all the Christian schools out there, like, do you really...
Either everyone's got to wear a uniform, or
what's the point of that?
You can't have different rules like that. That's just all right. So we got some pop culture questions that we've been asked. All right, so here's one. I guess this isn't really pop culture, but obviously I talk a lot about the Second Amendment. Tina's talked a lot about the Second Amendment, and so I got asked what my favorite gun is. So I'm gonna break this down because, I mean, the favorite pistol, favorite rifle. So my favorite pistol it's a Colt 1911. And look, there's going to be a lot of people that say, you know, oh, come on, that's an obvious answer. Yeah, it's an obvious answer because it's true. I mean, the Colt 1911 is just an absolute classic. The caliber's great. It just feels right when you're shooting it. That's my favorite. It's not what I carry, though. I actually kind of like the Springfield XDs. You like the Walther.
I have the Walther, although it has that little bit of a zip to the trigger mechanism that I need to go.
Yeah.
I need to find another.
Told you. She got it because it was purple.
Well, no, I didn't get it because it was purple. I got it because the grip was comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, but if we want to talk about my favorite guns, honey, that would be his.
Oh my God.
I know. You can cut that.
So that, as far as a favorite rifle, I mean, all around, I really like the AR-15. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of like the whole what is it? The Winchester Model 1870 is a great lever action rifle. It's a classic, you know. But I get asked this a lot because I used to be a Special Forces weapons sergeant, and I'll get asked about things like the AK-47 versus the AR-15. Let me just tell you right now, there is no comparison. The AK-47 is garbage next to the AR-15.
Nick should know. He was a weapons expert in Special Forces.
But there's a lot of people that will challenge me on that. And yeah,
and they're wrong.
This is also true. Right? But the AK-47, here's what the AK-47 is good for. If you want to take a rifle, leave it in the mud for a week, and then pick it up and shoot it, AK is pretty good. It's got a gas piston system, but ergonomics suck on this thing. And let me tell you why. With an AK-47, the way that the selector switch works is it goes from safe to full auto to semi-auto. Right? And it's on the right-hand side. Well, most people are right-handed, so your hand's here on the pistol grip. So if you actually want to move the selector switch, you've got to take your hand off the pistol grip in order to move the selector switch. And so we had a lot of our Iraqis that what their solution was is they would put it on semi, and they'd be walking around with on semi-automatic, but no round loaded in the chamber. And then what they'd have to do is that if all of a sudden they got in a firefight, they got to rack around and then start shooting. And we were trying to come up with different ways that they could do this where they could have a round loaded so they'd be ready for action. But it was just hard to switch it off to save. It was a pain. So ergonomically, the AK-47 is crap. And I don't apologize to anyone for saying that. The ergonomics on the AR-15 are excellent. You can do everything right here with your selector switch, your forward grip. It's lightweight. Now, I will say that they've made some improvements on the AR model. They have variants where they have a gas piston system instead of a gas direct system, which means you get less fouling and less like misfires and things like that.
So basically, Nick is nerding out right now.
I am.
On this question.
But I carry a Springfield XD as like my concealed carry.
Yeah, I like a smaller gun for my concealed carry, and I got this little Taurus, and Nick made fun of me for it.
It's not a bad gun,
but
it's not
really tiny, and no one has any clue.
And it's like was it like a 380 or something?
Yeah, but
I've 9mm.
I've got the man killers in there. I've got the right, ammunition.
You're good. You're a good shot with an AR too.
Okay, so we got some tannerite.
Yeah.
And Nick had only iron sights on his AR at the time. Mm-hmm. And he has a different AR now. Well, he has actually
my old school.
He has two ARs, but
yeah, that was my old school AR.
Okay, but so we're trying to do this on iron sights, and his entire campaign team last year decides they're gonna try to shoot the tannerite.
Yeah.
And everybody got to shoot once, including Nick. And guess who hit it on the first shot?
I broke it in for you. That was what happened.
Me.
Yeah, that's true. She did.
I did.
All of our kids are pretty good shots, too. We got 3 kids.
Yeah, Allie's a crack shot.
Lily, Luke, and Allie, all of them are good shots. All of my campaign team, one year, decided that they were going to challenge Allie to a shoot-off with my little Ruger 22 single-action revolver. And Allie beat everyone on the campaign team.
I don't think she went up against Nick Hamilton. I think Nick's really the only one that is really
Nick was a pretty good shot. But
good at firearms.
I think Allie beat him too. She might have tied Nick. I don't know.
I don't know if she challenged him, but all that to say, our daughter's going to be able to take care of herself.
Yeah,
and it's a good thing because she's
all of our kids can shoot.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she may have to cap
all
some people.
Wow.
Hey,
all right.
I mean, people talk about. I mean, we live in what is this? What do they call it? We live in a rape culture, honey.
So hey, the Second Amendment's the great equalizer.
Armed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my big thing is that I feel like the Second Amendment really is the great equalizer. And we have this situation, where in Virginia there's this backlog in rape kits and things like that. And I might have gotten in a little trouble for saying that, if more would-be rapists were bleeding out in a gutter somewhere, we wouldn't have a problem.
I remember you saying that.
A backlog in rape kits.
Not untrue.
And you know what? My daughters,
Yeah, they know how
They
to
can
shoot.
take care of their own security, and they don't gotta wait for somebody else to come and save them. That's the ultimate damsel in distress thing. And if you want to sit here and talk about being an empowered woman, well, then empower yourself and get yourself a gun and learn how to use it right.
That's hot, babe. All right. All right.
It's not that kind of video, babe.
Favorite books. Favorite books. All right. So I'm going to have to break this down into, or favorite authors, I should say, nonfiction and fiction. So my favorite.
God's pretty much my favorite author.
Yeah. Yes, that is the obvious
Okay,
answer.
so out of the people, though.
So out of people that are not God.
Jane Austen.
For nonfiction, I would agree with you. This was, okay, so, all right, for all the guys that are listening to this or watching this who just heard,
Nick utter those words.
Former Green Beret.
It's okay, his man card's secure. He can say anything he wants.
Nick Freight is saying that Jane Austen is my favorite nonfiction author. I mean, look, I like Tom Clancy and some of that, but Jane Austen.
You also like fruity drinks and sprinkles on your donuts.
Whoa. Fruity drinks are only appropriate when you're in the Caribbean. And sprinkles on donuts are perfectly acceptable.
If I offered you a fruity drink right now, you would drink it. You love fruity drinks.
I like pina coladas.
And other fruity drinks.
I guess a margarita is lime.
I'm so right.
Okay.
Sing the Tina's Right song.
Again, no. If it's in the Caribbean or if it's hot outside or you're by the pool, that's perfectly acceptable. And I make no apology. My dad's former LAPD.
He's filibustering right now because I told him he had to sing the Tina's Right song.
I'm not doing it. So my dad is former LAPD, right? So obviously I grew up with a lot of donuts in the house. But my dad, he would, when I got through, I think it was Special Forces selection or whatnot, I came home and, we were talking and we went to go grab like coffee and a donut or whatnot, and he got a glazed donut, and I got a donut with sprinkles on it. Because, I like sprinkles on the donut. Whatever. I make no apologies. So he looks at me, and he's like, the hell are you doing? I said, I'm getting a donut. He goes,
sprinkles.
He goes, that's got sprinkles on it. And I'm like, well, you got a donut? He's like, this is an official police glazed donut. Right? This is a manly donut. I'm like, Dad, I'm so manly, I make a sprinkled donut manly. That's right.
To this day, sprinkled
drop.
donuts. He has to have, if we're getting donuts.
They're good.
Yeah.
I make no apologies. We were talking about favorite authors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We need to stop distracting.
Go ahead.
All right, so anyways, Jane Austen. Now, for all the guys that are going to criticize me for this, the first time I ever read a Jane Austen book, I was still in the military, I was deploying a lot, and Tina and I were, finding ways to like stay connected while I was gone.
Yeah.
And we had our first daughter at that point, and we did this rule where whenever I went anywhere, we would pick a book to read. And the rule was it had to be a classic. It couldn't, it had to be a classic. Couldn't be like a Danielle Steele novel or something like that. It had to be a classic. So I picked.
Wouldn't read that crap anyway.
I know. I picked, what did I pick? Count of Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Which is a great book.
It's a great book. And
great
the movie is nothing like the book.
But the movie's good too.
It kind of has the same flavor as the book.
Yeah, but it's
like
very
the whole
different.
second half is different.
Yeah, very different. But that was a great book, so I read that one. So now it's Tina's turn to pick, and she picks Pride and Prejudice. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta go read Pride. Dude, awesome book.
The dialogue is so good.
Awesome book.
I love the fact that like British people, they can just like dress you down and you don't even realize they've done it. They've just burned you up one side and down the other, but they did it so beautifully and so nicely and with their beautiful accents. And
I think the quote is, the art of diplomacy is telling someone to go to hell in such a way that they'll look forward to the journey. That is Jane Austen. Mm-hmm. My God, you look at the dialogue there and the sarcasm and the wit and everything else. It was great. And then there's all these BBC adaptations of the movies. And my favorite is Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility.
Old version of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, not the new one. Not the one
new version of Sense and Sensibility.
But again, for all you guys who are going to tell me that's weak or that's lame, let me tell you something. We started watching those when my daughters were younger. And the great thing about Jane Austen is that she writes about like her heroines in her book they're strong, they're independently minded, responsible, and then there's always somebody else in the book who's kind of like the guy that's like a total rake, right? He's just a jerk. He's that guy you don't want dating your daughters. There's always one of those in a Jane Austen book. And then there's always like a sister that's kind of flighty and totally driven by emotion and the whole deal.
And there's always, your heroine always has sort of a contentious relationship with the man that she may or may not end up with. And it's a little bit contentious because they both know their own minds and they do this. And I love that because that's Nick and I, man.
That's us.
We would debate.
Oh, but the wonderful thing is that my daughter, so my oldest daughter is 18 and she's got a boyfriend now. But when a guy wanted to date my daughter, and she was at that age where we were okay with dating, she told him, I didn't have to tell him. She told him, you know, you can ask me out, that's great, but unless my father says it's okay, this ain't happening. And it was wonderful because my daughter is very strong, very independently minded, knows what she wants to do, knows what she believes. But there was a combination of things there. One, I always felt like as a father, it was my responsibility to do a couple of things. One is the way I treat my wife demonstrates to my kids, you know, both my son and my daughters, but demonstrates to my daughters how they should expect to be treated. And then the way I interact with my daughters, right? And so,
well, hold on, I've got a caveat here.
Well, but let me get to the Jane Austen part first. But the other thing that I loved about it was ever since my daughters were like really little, we'd be watching Pride and Prejudice or something like that, and you know, one of the girls would kiss one of the guys or whatever it is, and Lily would look at me and like, Daddy, they're not even engaged. I'm like, I know, sweetheart, that's just horrible. You'd never want to do that. She goes, no, I wouldn't, Daddy. Did you and Mommy kiss before you were engaged? You know what, sweetheart? Let's just watch the movie now.
Let's not talk. Well,
but no, it was one of those things where it was about providing your kids with entertainment that reinforced certain values.
And doesn't completely offend every sensibility you might have.
Every conservative sensibility.
Right.
And again, Jane Austen does a great job of that. She writes really good characters.
Because including a bunch of gratuitous stuff and language and everything else,
not in Jane Austen.
Lazy. It's just lazy writing. Yeah. If you can write a really good book without that stuff, you're a really good writer.
Yeah.
And
but it got me not only that, but the other benefit of I was in a pub in Colorado Springs. I was working for a company out there, and I was there with a bunch of my SF buddies, and we're all in a pub, and it's trivia night. And we're not really playing. We're over by the bar, but there's all these tables. And one of the questions that pops up on trivia night at this pub, while I'm surrounded by all my SF buddies, are name the Jane Austen books that don't have "and" in the title. And everyone's sitting there not paying attention. I walk over to this table full of women, and I said, the answer is Mansfield Park, Emma, Northanger Abbey, and I Was Never Here. And I think they're the only ones to get it right. They're the only ones to get that question right.
Well, okay, so backtracking a little bit, you mentioned that Lily came to you to ask, or not Lily, but the boyfriend, whose name is coincidentally Nick.
Yeah.
I remember a Nick in my past.
Yeah. How
that went. I called my mom up. I'm like, Lily will not stop talking about this guy named Nick that she met. I'm like, sound familiar? She's like, yeah. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But the reason why she really held to that strong rule to ask Daddy first and talk to Daddy first is it's not because she feared him, and it's not because people should be quaking in their boots or any of that. What it is she really, really respected and trusted him and his judgment. She trusted him to see good character in a young man. And I think that's the most important thing. And, our daughter never wanted to date anyway, even though she's just beautiful. And she's sweet and she's funny, and there were plenty of boys that would have loved to date her. She just didn't want to. And her whole thing is she didn't want a boy to have ownership over her by being able to say, this is my girlfriend or whatever. And so she could like somebody or whatever, but there was no boyfriend girlfriend stuff because she didn't want someone to have that kind of fake ownership over her. And
well, it's like when you see all these kids that get caught up in high school and stuff like that, which is like really,
She would see the drama that some of the people around her would have with, relationships and everything, and every single time she'd say, man, I'm so glad I'm not dating. But now she is dating, and she really likes him, honey.
He's a good kid. Anyway.
I think they've used the L word even.
What? Like?
No.
What?
Yeah, they love each other.
Why am I just learning about this?
I don't know.
I didn't approve that. Anyway.
You can't.
I'll talk to
you
you a
can't
little
help
later.
who you fall in love with, honey.
I will
I
talk
fell
a
in
little
love with
later.
you.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nick's can be really convincing.
Moving on to nonfiction authors. So nonfiction author. For me, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is, again, national treasure, not allowed to die. The guy is brilliant, prolific author. The other thing I love about Thomas Sowell is watching interviews that he does. Because he's not just brilliant, and he does incredible research. And if you're not aware of Thomas Sowell, he's an economist, but like a really incredible life story. Grew up in poverty, parents died young. He moved from North Carolina. He did a couple years in the Marine Corps. But like actually, if I remember right, he didn't graduate high school, but he ended up getting accepted to Harvard. And when he went to Harvard, and then he went and he studied in Chicago, he was a Marxist. I mean, he was a straight up Marxist. And then 1 year working for the government as like an intern, summer internship, caused him to really challenge a lot of that. And now he's a very, very free market oriented economist. But the reason why I think he's really interesting to read is because he talks about things in a way that is incredibly well researched, but he can explain complex economic principles to the layman in a way that's not only easy to understand, but actually entertaining.
And also our kids' 8th grade curriculum.
That's right.
He made them read basic economics.
Yeah, but
you know what? That it's good. Our daughter can, she has set people straight. She'll go, why do you guys always have to talk politics? Dang it.
Yeah.
And then she goes somewhere, she's in drama or what, and she's in a play, and they start talking about economics, and then she pipes up and corrects everyone.
Yeah.
Because she's very
smart. But she does it very well. She's not mean about it. So.
Well,
All right, so what do we got here? We got another one. All right, favorite sports teams. You don't really have favorite sports teams.
Okay, so I'm a little bit aloof when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
I've always been like my dad. He would go for whoever the underdog was in the specific game, because I felt like if you are just a one-team person, then your season's over whenever they're not going to make it. Why? I don't know. It's not as fun. But I like going for the person you don't expect to win and just rooting for that team.
So I really liked sports. Like our again, we had a really small high school, so we didn't get to play much, but like I did baseball, track, and wrestling and basketball because we didn't have a football team. I really wanted a football team, but that was way too expensive for our school. But I mean, when I was little, I was going to pitch for the Dodgers. And a big reason why I loved the Dodgers was because my dad was LAPD. I'd spend the summers with my dad, and I had some really great memories growing up with my dad and I going to Dodger Stadium and watching Dodger games. And this was, like, I still remember the 1988 World Series where Kirk Gibson, Dodgers were the total underdogs. Kirk Gibson hobbles up to the plate. Dodgers are down. Dennis Eckersley, who was one of the best relievers in baseball at that time, is pitching, and Kirk Gibson can't even run, right? He's injured, and he knocks out a home run, and Vin Scully is talking to him, and Vin Scully was the best baseball announcer ever. And I remember that time, and I remember going to Dodger games, so like I was going to pitch for the Dodgers when I grew up.
But instead he had to settle for doing a commending resolution for
I did do a commending resolution for Vin Scully because he is America's announcer. And he deserved it. But yeah, so I'm a Dodgers fan. I'm just so glad that Kershaw won a World Series because he's one of the best modern pitchers in baseball. And if you look at it, he pitches beautifully all through the regular season. Then he usually has kind of a rougher time in the playoffs. And the Dodgers kept making it to the World Series or making it to the playoffs, losing. And I was like, I do not want Kershaw to be the Dan Marino of baseball, where some of the best records in baseball, but no World Series ring. And they won this last year. And yeah, it was COVID year, but I don't care because Kershaw did well in the postseason this year. So I'm a Dodgers fan.
Which is almost, I think that might be kind of heretical here in Virginia where everybody's a Nationals fan.
Yeah.
And Nick even took Luke to the Nationals game when they were playing the Dodgers, and Luke and Nick were the only ones with blue hats on.
No, there's a couple others.
Okay, a few.
But you know what? I got to say this. The Nationals fans are very gracious fans. You go to some stadiums where you wear the opposing jersey and you're getting knifed in the parking lot. And
I
the
think that's
Nationals don't
taking
like
your
that.
sports a little too seriously.
Dude, Red Sox and Yankees fans, holy crap. That's like the Jets and the Sharks. I do not want to be in the middle of that choreographed knife fight. But yeah, so I'm a Dodgers fan again. Really good memories with my dad growing up, going to Dodgers games, and still love baseball. And Luke and I, we played, with the church softball league. And then football, I actually break away from my dad here. My dad, who again I love and respect, is a Cowboys fan. But other than that, he's a good person. So I'm a Steelers fan.
I want to know what made you a Steelers fan.
I'll tell you what made me a Steelers fan.
Because
Even though
it's not like we live
I used to just like LA teams because my dad was in LA and I'd go to LA. So Lakers, Dodgers, Raiders, the whole deal. But then the Raiders moved and I never really got into liking the Raiders. But I remember my dad talking about growing up, watching the Steelers and the Steel Curtain and how tough they were and how tough Terry Bradshaw was. So I remember him talking about him very fondly. My dad has had a lot of influence on the sports teams I like, actually. And then we saw Terry Bradshaw in a hotel lobby. He's like, Nick, that's Terry Bradshaw, the one I was telling you about. And Terry was definitely a little tipsy. But I don't know, it just kind of stuck with me. And as I was starting to get a little bit more into football, I like the Steelers. And so, yeah, and I always thought I like the Steelers. So I follow the Steelers. And I like the Steelers and whoever is playing against the Cowboys or the Patriots. So those are my two.
I can't believe you don't like the Patriots. Just look at the name.
I like patriotism. I don't like the Patriots. This is how bad I don't like the Patriots. I was willing to lose my job over this. So my former boss, great guy, former Green Beret, his name was Bruce, and he was a huge Patriots fan. Like has a life-size painted portrait of Tom Brady in his office, signed by Tom Brady.
That's weird.
So
I'm sorry,
he loves the Patriots. Anyways, so when the Patriots had a perfect season, made it to the Super Bowl, lost to the New York Giants, which was like a wild card team. And then all of a sudden there was a rematch, right? And this was the Patriots' chance to get revenge on the Giants, revenge on Eli Manning. And so I'm watching the game, and sure enough, the Giants beat him again. And so I call up my boss, and I leave a message for him, and I just say, "Hey, Bruce, I want to tell you congratulations. I know this, you guys just must feel really vindicated that, the Giants stole your perfect season from you. You went back to the Super Bowl and you beat them. Oh, wait, no, you didn't. You lost again. You lost again to a team that you should have crushed."
Things not to say to your boss.
Oh, it was totally worth it. Totally. And he didn't fire me because Bruce is a good sport, but I do think I got some crappy assignments as a result.
Next question.
All right.
Favorite actor not living?
John Wayne. Oh, it's not even close. I grew up, again, because...
I thought, hasn't John Wayne been canceled? Has he been canceled?
John Wayne's never canceled. John Wayne is never canceled. No, I grew, well, again, a big part of my growing up, my dad and mom got divorced when I was young, and so, but both my grandparents lived really close to me up in Northern California, and so I'd go over to my dad's folks, and it was, Papa Bill and Grandma B, and I'd go over there, and Papa Bill and I would watch John Wayne marathons on TNT and USA, and I grew up watching John Wayne.
I will say my favorite episode of I Love Lucy is the one where John Wayne had a cameo.
Yeah.
And so I just almost said, I love Lucy, but I do. I love Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
But it's not because I think she was a fabulous actor. I think that she was just really willing to poke fun at herself. She was a beautiful woman who didn't mind looking not beautiful for funny, just to make things funny. And I like that. I like somebody that's so comfortable in their skin that they're willing to do that. Well, and but man, that episode with her and John Wayne, and it was really cute.
Well, and I think, there's so many John Wayne movies I like, but El Dorado.
The Shootist was really good.
Shootist was not one of my favorites. It was good, but it was not one of my favorites. When I was little, I loved The Cowboys because it was a whole movie about John Wayne taking a bunch of little kids on a cattle drive, and I'm sitting here going, how awesome would this be?
I want John Wayne to take me on a cattle drive.
But then it was sad because it was one of the movies John Wayne died in. And that's, again, the rule I have is, as a man, I'm only allowed to cry under two circumstances: when a good friend or family member dies, or if John Wayne dies in a movie. You can cry at that. There's no...
Yeah, he is held to that. I have seen Nick cry twice, and that's it. And that was one was Papa Bill, and the next one was Papa John, and that was it. I've seen him tear up over Friends. Yeah. But that's it.
But the El Dorado, and the funny story about El Dorado is when in El Dorado, John Wayne plays this character called Cole Thornton. And Cole Thornton's a gunfighter, but he's like a gunfighter that sticks up for the little guy and whatnot. And a great cast in that one. James Caan was in it, a really young James Caan. But in that movie, his name is Cole Thornton. And so when I was over in Iraq, because of the work we did as Green Berets, we do a lot of work by, through, and with. So we're constantly out, working with different tribal leaders, working with different forces and whatnot. And so we don't always wear our name tapes. We would wear other name tapes. And I got a name tape made that said,
you need to explain why you don't necessarily wear your name tape.
Well, because, we had instances of intel getting back from Iraq. And again, I don't know how valid a lot of this is, but we had heard stories of it, so we were all cautious about it. But because we work so closely with a lot of different groups and organizations, and not all of them were the best. I mean, they might have been fighting Al-Qaeda and we were working with them, but that didn't mean that they were your buddies. And there were reports of wives of military service members getting confronted and getting threats. And so we were just cautious.
So it's not a good idea for them to know your last name.
Yeah, so we were just cautious
or for you to
about
carry
that.
your ID on you.
Yeah, so I had this name tape made that said Thornton. And I had a sergeant major goes, the hell is Thornton? And like without skipping a beat, I look back and I was like, there's only 3 men I know with his kind of speed. One of them's dead. One of them's me. And the other's Cole Thornton. And that was one of my favorite lines from El Dorado. But yeah, so El Dorado, Rio Bravo, great John Wayne movies.
Where's your John Wayne bobblehead where you push the
button? Right up there. Oh no, that's my bobblehead. No,
that was an ornament.
I had a Christmas ornament that when you push the Christmas ornament, it would give lines from John Wayne movies. And this particular one, it was lines from The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a great movie with him and Jimmy Stewart in it. And it had this one line that I loved, and it was, I know those law books mean a lot to you, but not out here. Out here, a man settles his own problems. And every time, my detachment commander hated it because we'd be talking about some operation that we were going to do or how we were going to conduct it. And, John was a good guy, but he's got to be the officer, right? He's got to be the guy that's taking into account some of the risk assessment components, rules of engagement. He's got to make sure he's doing his job. But every once in a while, John would be like, well, we really got to clear that through, Special Operations Task Force North. We got to do that. And inevitably, whenever he would say, well, we got to check, I would click that button and be like, I know those law books mean a lot to you, but not out here. And again, it was, shut up, Freitas. Sorry, sir. But I thought it was great.
I don't remember what else that thing said, but
it had some other one, but that was the best one.
That was the best one.
So, favorite? Oh, yours is Lucille Ball. Okay, favorite living.
So
one of your favorites. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been one to. All my friends growing up always idolized movie stars and musicians, and I just was really aloof. Yeah. I didn't care. I wasn't the type to run up and get an autograph. I just didn't care. And I also kind of felt like, man, leave the people alone. They don't want to sign your stupid thing. Right. But some do, I guess. And so maybe I shouldn't be like that.
What's your favorite living actor? You can't steal mine.
Favorite living? Yours is really good.
Yeah. Denzel Washington.
Yours is really good.
Denzel's awesome.
I'm having a hard time thinking of who.
I'll talk about mine and then you can think
I like,
Caviezel.
No. One of my favorites is, now I can't remember. His last name is Idris.
Idris Elba.
Oh, his first name was Idris.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
He's awesome too.
He's a great.
Oh gosh. Have you never seen Luther? He plays kind of like this tortured,
brooding
cop in that one, like just kind of a.
Yeah, but he's been in other things, and it's just.
They were talking about him being the next James Bond.
I wish they would have made Idris Elba the next James Bond. He would have been wonderful.
Now let's clarify something. There is one James Bond, and that is Sean Connery.
Right.
But
that's true.
If you need to have someone fill that role,
I'm pretty sure James Bond's been canceled.
Whatever. Idris Elba would
they're trying to make a woman.
My
be
vote's
James
for
Bond.
Idris. My vote is for Idris Elba for James Bond. He would be phenomenal.
I don't see how a woman plays James Bond, honestly, because James Bond whole thing was there would be some gorgeous woman and he'd have to like kiss her to get her to like snap out of whatever weirdness she was doing, which is so not reality, but it was James Bond. And now how is a woman gonna like
I don't think you but
handle a man roughly in order to mellow him out? I don't know.
If Idris Elba he would be a great James Bond. I would watch that. But the reason why I love Denzel
I'm
Washington.
not watching a James Bond with a woman in it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the reason why
I don't understand why do they keep remaking things that are just classically male roles and shoving women into those roles? Why don't they come up with something new?
You're not woke enough, honey.
Because if you've got like this really good show that was originally made with a man, and then you shove women into it, you're going to be constantly comparing which one's better, and it's not fair to the women who can. I mean, there are women who are excellent actors, and they deliver it well, but you're never going to like the remake more than you like the old one, and so you're kind of setting her up for failure. I don't like that. Yeah. Be original.
Well, I think the other reason why Denzel Washington's my favorite is because, one, like if you actually see him in interviews and things like that, because one of the I try to separate the actor from their politics because it just destroys it.
He's an incredible actor.
He's an incredible actor, but the other thing with Denzel Washington is
Man on Fire is my favorite. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. But he doesn't get sucked into all the political debates. He'll give a really true statement about that. I think he's very fair and even-handed, but he doesn't dive into politics. But Man on Fire, I think, is his best. That is one of my favorite movies he's ever done. It's one of the best revenge flicks you'll ever see. For those of you who don't know, he plays a thing where, again, he's a former special operations guy. He's dealing with alcoholism and some other struggles, a lot of guilt, and then he gets a job. Christopher Walken is in it too, and I love Chris Walken. This great guy. He's good at what he does.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. I can nail that accent. But
Nick has actually. Okay, go ahead.
But Christopher Walken is buddies. They're former special ops buddies, and he gets him a job as a bodyguard for this little girl in Mexico City, and then stuff happens. Because there have been
kidnappings and things like that. You don't tell them the whole story.
I'm not going to tell you the whole thing.
Go get it. It's an old movie, but you need to watch it.
Man on Fire is great. And then The Equalizer.
Although you've had friends call you up and be like, you didn't tell me I was going to cry watching this movie.
Oh, it's a powerful movie.
It'll make a grown man cry.
Denzel just nails that role. Man on Fire is his best.
So good.
Equalizer is good too. Equalizer 2 wasn't as good as Equalizer 1, but
I thought they were both really good. I mean, it's Denzel, man. I mean, has he ever been in a bad movie?
I can't.
I think he just knows what to say yes to. Some of these actors, they'll be in a movie, and I don't know if they just didn't realize whoever they were working with wasn't going to produce a great movie or what. Yeah. But man, they should be they should be choosy,
I think the other thing that it appeals to me about, some of the movies he's been in and whatnot is I'm a dude. I like the kind of classic revenge flick because it's this whole idea that some sort of injustice has taken place and this guy is going to risk everything in order to correct that injustice, to defend somebody that was harmed or kidnapped or taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And
I do love a good movie that, where the bad guy who's just really terrible really gets the comeuppance. I don't like this new thing they're doing where they try to make you really sympathetic to the bad guy.
Yeah.
I like the bad guy to be bad, and I like him to get his, and I want the good guy to be good. And I don't mind if the good guy has some failings here and there, and that's fine with me. But don't you dare try to make me feel sympathy for someone that hurts little children or someone that, hurts women or hurts other people or hurts the elderly. Some of these, they try to give you enough backstory so that you feel bad for however they were raised. And I'm just going, no,
you heard
at some point you choose who you're going to be, and I'm not going to blame someone else for you to let you off the hook.
All right. Here's a favorite one for you.
Hold on, though. No, I need to say.
Oh, okay.
You started to do the Christopher Walken impression.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Nick can do some amazing accents. He's so good. And we used to throw out accents to him and make him.
Well, we were playing a game and the way
he had to explain how electricity works.
In different accents.
But then switch accents for each one. And there were a lot of different accents, but Christopher Walken is just the best. And
it is.
In fact, he's in the Virginia House of Delegates, as you know. Yeah. And there is he wanted to submit a bill, and it has to do with money that Virginia sets aside for Hollywood. It's like $5 million or something.
I think it's 10 actually.
Or
It's a
maybe
$10 million tax credit. So
it's a tax credit. So like basically, it's come here and do your movie here, and we'll give you this tax credit. And we don't like carve outs. We want everybody to. I mean, if you're going to cut some taxes, cut it on the people who actually live here. Hello. Yeah. And so he was going to introduce a bill getting rid of that.
As Christopher Walken.
As Christopher Walken, he was going to.
I might still do that.
I think he needs it. I think Virginia needs to hear.
They need Chris on the floor discussing why.
Yeah.
You shouldn't make special carve-outs for Hollywood. They don't need them. The bad, like.
He's so good. He's so good.
I think that speech would go viral. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, here we go. Okay, we got. Oh, Tina, you're gonna love this one.
Yeah.
Most embarrassing moments.
Yes. For me?
Most embarrassing moments. Well, I know you want to talk about.
Oh yeah.
My most embarrassing.
Do I have a picture in here?
I will.
So
cool.
Nick was Nutters the squirrel.
It was 7th grade play.
Oh my gosh, that's even worse. I thought you were 7 in the play.
Oh my god.
And he says he was in 7th grade. Okay, he was wearing tights. Your dad has sent me the picture.
I know. Oh, my dad loves this. This is like my favorite, or this is my dad's favorite way to embarrass his son is, and I was like, look, I'm gonna be in a play. I got cast how I got cast. I didn't. I don't know. I thought I thought like being in the drama team would be a good way to meet girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
But not as Nutters the squirrel. Not a dynamic role for. Not a dynamic lead man.
I've had many embarrassing moments, so I'm not sure I can really.
Oh yeah, way to cop out.
Well, I mean.
Well, I know your most embarrassing moment.
What's that?
It's when you signed me up.
Oh my gosh.
You signed me. So we're on a cruise ship. We're on a cruise.
This was my fault.
This is totally her fault. We're on a cruise, and I can't remember what I was doing. I was like by the pool or something like that.
He was off somewhere, but they had made an announcement that they were about to have a hairy chest contest. And let me tell you, Nick can win a hairy chest contest. I'm
Portuguese.
He has got like a coat.
You don't. Hunting trophy is better.
Hunting trophy. Yeah, there's nothing like it's all here. Just like a man should have.
There we go, right?
I feel like a man should have a hairy chest. I'm not
totally
into the whole like shaving your chest thing.
You can do that if you're swimming. That's it. But
I don't know. I just feel like a man should have a hairy chest.
She signs me up for this hairy chest competition on this cruise. I did
because I knew he would win. I'm like, you go and you win this thing.
But here's the deal. I'm competitive.
I did not know.
Okay, we don't.
I didn't know how they'd be judging this thing. Okay.
There's a lot more hands-on than we expected in the judging phase.
Oh yeah, I've never seen so many people just.
Anyway.
Okay, and so, but he did win.
Oh no, I didn't win. I dominated. But it was one of those things where, like,
and it's not just because the other guys had like, it wasn't just because they had like.
We had to sell it, right? You had to sell it. It's like the music was on, and you had to sell.
Oh yeah.
Your hairy chest.
Nick was shaking his groove thing.
Whoa! Let's not be. Let's not give away the end.
He was out there just.
No, I was projecting confidence.
He had to do the catwalk thing, so
But I won, and I've got the trophy to prove it.
He does, and we have a bottle of champagne too, and a trophy, I think.
And a medallion. I got like.
So here's the thing: is we're on this cruise, and somebody kind of recognized him, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, that was the most embarrassing thing. Being in that, and there were phones out like, ooh, oh my gosh, and so there's video of Nick out there somewhere winning a hairy chest contest and just utterly dominating. And we were waiting for this to come out.
Somebody was going to.
I thought for sure like Abigail Spanberger is going to like release this. Somebody's going to find it. And we just resolved that whenever it does come out. I was
going to double down. I was going to own it.
Whenever it does come out, we're going to do a Facebook Live and pop that cork on that champagne that we won and have the trophy there and tell the story. But now we just told the story. So I guess we.
But yeah, that was the funny part is like as soon as I got done with that competition, somebody walks up to me like, I know you from somewhere. And this was right after an election.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I know you from somewhere. I said, where are you from? Because I'm from Charlottesville. I said, he goes, were you in the Army? I said, yeah, I was in the Army. That must be where you know me from.
Probably not. But I'm telling you, that's the funny thing is that we're really, really regular people and we joke around and we have fun. And that's the weird thing about politics is you can be doing something completely benign, having fun doing something, and it can get twisted and turned into something it wasn't. And
when you say we're regular people, that's true, unless it's a hairy chess competition, in which case I'm an exceptional.
That's true. Yeah. It's a good thing. He married a woman that likes a hairy chest, so that's good.
That's a Portuguese. Those are the Portuguese
look at these
genes.
arms. He's like,
That's Portuguese genes right there.
Yeah.
Portuguese.
Well, I like it. Look at you. You got a full head of hair. This is awesome. I mean,
that's right. That's right.
I like him. I like to look at his hairy chest.
All right. Well, we don't need to like go into detail about this. All right. So what is okay, here's another one. I think we're going to probably end on this one. Strange family tradition.
Yeah.
And I think
Sushi Thanksgiving is probably our strange family tradition.
I think
so. Sushi Thanksgiving, and so if any of you follow me on Facebook, you'll see every Thanksgiving we always take a picture of our spread, and it's always sushi. And it's not that we don't like turkey and all of that. It's that Nick and I both come from families that were divorced. And so we had, I want to say there were 4 definite Thanksgivings we had to go to, but I think there were a couple of others because some grandparents were doing them as well.
Yeah, friends.
And so, and they were just boom, 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 all in a row because we were visiting family. Mm-hmm. And so we had like 2 Thanksgiving dinners already, and we were turkeyed out. Mm-hmm. And my mom decided, hey, you're going to be so sick of turkey that I'm going to hire a sushi don.
Yeah.
And so she hired somebody that did sushi and rolled all this gorgeous sushi for us.
Yeah, that was great.
And I'm telling you, it stuck. And we've got, like, my best friend is gluten intolerant. And so Sushi Thanksgiving is really safe for her.
Yeah.
And so we get together and we roll a ton of sushi every year. And we invite, friends over and we have sushi. Now, here's the thing. Last year, we called it Sushi Roulette. We have a round table and we have this Lazy Susan on it. And we pile it all on there. Well, I make some sushi, and I make the kind you roll it and you have the fish laying over it, and it's pretty. And so I make all these, and some of them I made really spicy because I love wasabi.
It's good stuff.
Like, I feel like if you're eating sushi and you don't at some point feel like you might see the face of God, like near-death experience from the wasabi, then you have not experienced your sushi properly. Yeah. Okay?
That's fair.
So I make some of them with quite a bit of wasabi in the middle there. And so I had them all rolled and somebody else was plating them. And I meant to separate the mild from the really hot ones. And so they got intermixed. So when people were grabbing sushi and it all looks just delicious, it might be mild or it might make you cry. You just don't know.
And I'll tell you another fun thing about Sushi Thanksgiving, right, is the first time we did it, you can mess with your kids. Tell them the wasabi is guacamole.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's like everybody does this. Now, somebody's going to say I'm mean, and I don't care. But when you're a young parent and you have your 2-year-old, you'll never forget the first time they taste a lemon, right? They get that like crazy reaction. All right, don't do that with your 2-year-old and wasabi. That's just cruel and mean.
Yeah, that's not nice. Don't do that.
When your kid's like a teenager and they've mouthed off maybe a little bit,
I would say even 8 or 9 is fine.
Hand them a chip with some wasabi on it. Tell them it's guacamole, and then just sit back and entertain yourself.
This guacamole has turned.
It doesn't hurt anybody, but it's fun.
And so, we do that. And then I make chicken teriyaki for all the people who don't like fish. And my son calls it chickiyaki.
Yeah. And we still inevitably, a lot of times we got some great friends from church, and this is one of the things we do where we do kind of the sushi thing, and then somebody else will make a turkey, and we still do like the turkey sandwiches the next day.
I still have to make turkey at some point because you've got to have the turkey sandwiches.
Got to.
And then we have everybody over in the evening. I've got a huge round table, and I love a round table because you can see everybody.
Yeah.
But that's when we play Texas Hold'em.
Nickel dime quarter Texas Hold'em. And Luke,
my son's been cleaning house.
Like 3 Thanksgivings in a row. He's crushed it.
Yeah. It's winner take all, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, and it's not very much. Life. It's like a $5 buy-in. It's nothing major.
Not but it's huge to him. Like at the end of the night, he's got like $50.
Oh, it's a lot of money if you've got a bunch of people playing.
Yeah.
And so then we usually do sushi round 2.
Yeah.
With that, because sushi doesn't really stick with you that long.
Well, Thanksgiving is also kind of like a
no food
3-day. Thanksgiving is kind of like a 3-day successive thing.
Well, I used to make Thanksgiving dinner, and then the very next morning it was biscuits and gravy in the morning.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And then turkey sandwiches for days afterwards.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now you know a little bit more about myself and
Now
Tina.
that we've bored you to death.
Yeah. Now that you're at this point, you're like you've already checked out. Like you checked out at minute 10 after I got done explaining why John Wayne was awesome.
Yeah, I think we've been talking for like a long time.
It's been a while. But anyway, we just wanted to take an opportunity, introduce you a little bit. I mean, we talk about a lot of issues on this, and every once in a while, I think it's important that you just, you know a little bit about where this is coming from and, why we've come to the beliefs that we have and the different experiences. And so, we like an opportunity to be able to relate with the audience a little bit. Or for those of you who are Cowboys fans, you've now unsubscribed from all my channels. Mm-hmm. And and that's fine, because I don't like the Cowboys, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Cowboys in real life, good. Cowboy football team, no.
And now you know who's behind the scenes prodding Nick to do the most controversial thing he possibly
it's
can.
Her. She's not the nice one. She is not the nice one in the relationship.
You know what? I'm nice. I just think some people have it coming.
All right, listen. First of all, I want to thank everybody too. We're about to hit this is our 49th episode. We're about to hit our 50th episode. We've gotten this last month was our best month ever on this podcast. So I want to thank you all so much for liking, for sharing, for writing us a review. Continue to do it, right? If you like the arguments, if you like the content that you're seeing, we have to be able to engage in the culture in order to be relevant, to fight back against some of the things that we see. And the more users we get, the more followers we get, the better opportunity we have to be able to set up alternative ways to get this out to you. So if we do ever come up against a day where Facebook tries to shut us down or YouTube tries to shut us down, we want to be able to have our own servers. We want to be able to have our own mechanisms to be able to continue to make the argument for the things that we believe, the things that we cherish, and the things that are worth fighting for. So please consider to like, review, and share this content. But once again, I'm Nick Freitas, my wife Tina. Thank you again for watching Making the Argument, and we will see you next time.